What we now have at our disposal is scientific evidence that disputes what we've been taught. And so I believe, and I'm going to say this to you, I believe there are individuals who have a vested interest in not having these conversations about Christ and about creation, because if there is an intelligent designer, and I'm gonna make that point, if there is indeed an intelligent designer, we call him God, then that means he designed it for a purpose. And if he designed it for a purpose, then we must find the purpose of the designer. And if I can deny the designer, I can become my own God. I can do my own thing. I don't have to answer to anybody. But if there is indeed an intelligent designer, because every inventor creates for a purpose. My lights are on right now. There was a time we didn't have these, and people made light through fire. And someone said, man, it'd be nice to have a better way to do this, because you leave that fire burning at night, that thing fall over, things are burning up. It'd be nice to have another way to create a more dependable light source. And so when the lights were created, we now have these phones, and these phones have gone through all kinds of iterations. But initially, it was solving an issue of communication in long distances. It's ultimately what it does. And so the designers made it with a purpose. And if God is the designer, then he made us with a purpose. And we are now required to figure out what that purpose is. And if we can deny that existence, then we can become our own God. And there are people within the to be their own gods.
But I like the Darwin theory, the scientific evidence, they also have the evidence to shoot that down too. That what he came up with can't be possible because of all the word I'm looking for, the elements in a human body couldn't be formed, just out of nowhere. Basically, it's too many elements that's missing in his theory. Yep. So that's shot down too. But since you said that I understand why now you had this study, because it will arm us, like you say, to be able to talk to the people that do not believe. So that kind of cleared it up. Now I can accept it more, like I'm not an atheist, so it kind of worked for me now, and so yeah, I agree now that we need that information, because the people that some people are hardcore to believe in what they believe, like I'm hardcore believing in Christ.
That's right.
So I got it. I appreciate it, Pastor. Thank you.
No problem. And like I said, the other thing I mentioned, and Katrina, I'm coming to you now. The other thing I mentioned though is, your kids, your children, your nieces, your nephews, your loved ones are all going to school, and when they go to science class, they're being taught evolution. It's chapter 1 of any world history book. And so they're going to come home with that information. And now you can give them that competing information that the schools are not teaching, because they don't have to, that there are competing theories, and there's incredible amounts of evidence that support this competing theory of intelligent design. But your children aren't learning those things. They're learning evolution. They're learning that we all came from single-celled organisms and that we all evolved from monkeys. And they're not being taught creation or intelligent design. All right, Katrina, I saw your hand. You got a question or a comment?
No, Pastor, you basically answered it beautifully, because I was just going to piggyback off of what you said. I enjoyed the Bible study because it's a different way. Instead of just telling atheists that, it's our faith or it's our experience, you're giving us more information to be equipped with. And because atheists and non-believers, they put so much energy into downing or mocking or making fun of or or just coming against Christians, I feel like this is a different way to be able to either combat, or not even combat, but just to have a discussion with them, an intelligent discussion with them. And like, it shouldn't bother them that my faith and my belief is in Jesus Christ, but it seems like it does. But I've learned that in different conversations, when I just say it's my faith or my own personal relationship and things of that nature, it doesn't really minister to them. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really hit home, because they love to point out, quote unquote, the facts, right?
Yep.
So this is good information. And of course, we're called to witness, and coming closer to Easter, we should really be evangelizing. We should really be bringing more lost souls to the kingdom. And this is definitely more information to have on our belt to be able to have those conversations with people. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. I really appreciate that, because that's the whole purpose for why I've been wanting to do it. I have wanted to teach this class for a couple years now. And I made references to it even when we were in the other location before COVID. But I thought in light of us going into, and you did that beautifully when you talked about the fact that we're coming up on Resurrection Sunday. It's the reason why I did it now, that as we're coming into, we're in this incredibly important season for the Christian faith. What better way, I believe, to go into this period with having this discussion. And so that's why on Sundays I've been talking about these important teachings, these last teachings of Jesus Christ, because as Jesus is coming to the end of his ministry, it's becoming more and more important to him to ensure that the disciples and those who follow him get it. Because if they don't get it, then this doesn't survive his life, and it absolutely has to survive his life. And they got it. That's why here we are over 2,000 years later, still having these conversations. And I wanted to give you some information, armed in science, armed in the historical record, armed in the archaeological record, that when they come back to you with what they call, as you said it, Katrina, the facts, what you can give them are competing facts. And there's evidence that says it didn't happen the way you think it happened. And unfortunately, they don't know it because there is a vested interest to keep it out of schools, because they're arguing that if you teach it, and this is what happened when scientists, and this is what happened, scientists were pushing intelligent design to be taught in schools. And that is not what was happening. That's why language and messaging matters. And so they made it an argument against the church, when it was actually scientists who were saying there's too much evidence out here that gives a competing theory that seems more plausible than evolution. And we believe, based on the evidence and all of the things that we have found and all of the things that we have published, all the things that we have replicated scientifically, that we should be not. And they weren't even arguing that we get rid of evolution. They were arguing that you teach it as a competing theory, that there are other theories out there, but people are pushing that the only theory to be taught is the evolutionary theory. And so we have to arm ourselves with this information and be a witness, so that when people are having those conversations, you can arm yourself with the data, and you don't have to say, well, yeah, they got good evidence, but it's just my faith. And it is faith, because I said there's a lot of stuff do not discount your experience. Do not discount the changes that God has done in your life. Do not discount all the things that God has done for you, because those things are incredibly important to your story. But what's also important is, here is what we're finding. And I said this before, I believe God allowed man to set the rule. And we said, man said it, if it ain't scientific, it can't be replicated, we can't trust it. And I believe God said, okay, y'all ready? You sure that's the rule? And then inside of the rule that he allowed us to set, he now is proving himself. Here is the archaeological record. Here is the scientific record. You can see it in all of the scientific disciplines that you said. That's how we find out what's true. Man set the score, and God did it inside of what they said can be trusted. So if you said science can be trusted, well, here is the scientific evidence. Why are you balking against it now? Because here, you said it. This is where we find the answer. It's in science. Go ahead, Katrina.
Yes, and again, I wanted to, I appreciate this message because, I love a good book, but to be honest, that's not my go-to. I'm not a researcher, you know what I'm saying? I would have never thought to go that route, you know what I'm saying? But you've pointed it out to me, so definitely I will take it to heart. And I also, just a side note, because it is coming up on Resurrection Sunday, a friend and I were praying, and she picked up in her spirit that I don't know if you guys already do it, but just to share it, she picked up in her spirit that we should send cards, or instead of Easter baskets, send cards to loved ones, just to a different way to witness to lost loved ones or to strangers, neighbors, or whoever. So if you want to, go ahead, take it. If you don't, leave it, that's fine. But I just wanted to share it. So thank you.
Yeah. No, I absolutely like it. I haven't talked about it here about, the history of Easter. That's why most times I intentionally try not to say Easter, and I try to intentionally say Resurrection Sunday on purpose. I do it on purpose. Because
I caught that. I've done the research on what Easter means. So that's good.
Yeah. And so I like the conversation about, these competing, I don't even call them competing, but different ways of celebrating that keeps the emphasis on Christ. Because it's why I don't do it. I mean, I have people all the time like, we're gonna do an Easter egg hunt. I want to find some other ways to bring our children together. And I struggle with that because I understand its origin. And so I'm always looking. So I will tell you, I like the idea, and I really would love to have some conversations with people who are like me, that would like to look at some other ways that we can bring our children together, have a great time, but aren't like rooted in the pagan origins of where a lot of these celebrations come from that are incredibly unbiblical. And so I can have that conversation with some of you offline if you want. But it's why I don't do those things. I don't believe we should just embrace it because it's always been done, especially when you, as I was saying, when you know better, you should do better. And so I'm trying to look at some ways to do better and to do it in a way that's different and keeps the focus on Christ and on the resurrection, Christmas as well, on Christ and the birth of Christ, and not on these incredibly external, commercialized ways of celebrating the holiday. So I don't do Easter baskets either for that reason. But I really like this idea about cards as a witnessing form, and just letting people know about the good news that this period celebrates in us. So no, I appreciate that, Katrina. That's good. I like it.